the people start coming?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, try it again, Pastor.
Okay.
Let's get it started. Yeah, there's 9 people on. So are we on?
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. We're just going to give us a few minutes as we're waiting for our last guest panelist for tonight's conversation, but just be patient with us.
So we see that several of you are getting on. We welcome you, all those that are coming on. And again, we're waiting for a final panelist. She'll be in any minute. I think our chairman of the board is on, Phil Kelly. Welcome. I think several other people are coming on. We're just waiting, giving people a chance to get in and get on. You have anything to say, honey? To people that are, they're just joining us. See here? They're just joining us. I come in and out if I move. Oops, I'm gone. Technology. As long as he stays on, it's okay. They really come to see him. They come to see Bobby Lloyd. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for your patience. We're having a little technical difficulty and waiting for our final panelist. She's having trouble getting on. So. We've got people from all over the country, I think. Oh, here she comes. Yay. Pastor Damaris is in, the Linds are on. Oh, she knows how to work a Zoom. I don't know how to chat yet. Ooh,
Dawn, I can just see your head.
the top of your head. And we can't hear you yet. Welcome, Dawn. Thank
I'm
you.
getting myself together, just.
All
bear with
right,
me.
we got you. We got you. It's all friends and family here. We got you.
All right.
Maybe tilt the screen down a little so we can see you.
All right. We're ready to go.
I think so.
Let's do it. Well, we're going to kick everything off tonight. Thank you for all that are joining us in a special evening. And I just want to say thank you again. My name is Dan Lloyd. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator for LICCV. That stands for Long Island Citizens for Community Values. A brief background, LICCV was founded in 1993 by Executive Director Bobby Lloyd with the mission of working to protect men, women, and children from the harmful effects of pornography. With the advance of technology, the mission has evolved to a broader impact where we are focusing on protecting children and families in the digital age. And that's why we are very excited about tonight's virtual fireside chat. Unfortunately, we're not able to get the fire behind us, but it's still considered a fireside chat. The purpose of tonight's digital safety forum is to provide families with the opportunity to talk to industry experts on how to protect yourselves, your children, and grandchildren on all digital devices. What we've noticed in the past 5 years, but really, quite frankly, the past 10 years, as with the advance in technology has made our lives a lot more convenient, not only in our personal lives, but professional lives and helping us with business. But at the same time, it's increased the impact and effects on our children and ourselves that we really weren't prepared for. The iPhone is very new. It only was started in 2007. And so since that time, there's been a lot of technologies that have helped us kind of navigate this new digital landscape. And that's why we're super excited about tonight's guest, both from a technology background and as a support system, but also for social emotional support. So with that being said, before we jump into the conversation, I do want to introduce our executive director, the one and only Mr. Bobby Lloyd.
Hey, the one and only. Listen, I think this is great. I'm excited about all that's taking place. Like I said, when we first started, we were out there fighting against pornography and closing sex shops. And I mean, you just name it. If it had anything to do with sexuality within the law, we would shut them down. And we had got to the point to where a number of legislators, I can't even count them all, got on board and since they, stuck with us for almost 20 years, in this battle. That's how long it's taken. Matter of fact, one establishment literally was open for almost 20 years, and with another 10 before they get it closed. But we know that we can do this. So we also feel as strongly as we felt about that issue, we feel that same way about our children, our families in the home, how it's invading the home, and so it's time that we all take a stand. And let's protect our families. Let's really protect our families and our homes and schools, against this onslaught of issues. So right now, I'd like to turn it over to Diane Lloyd.
Hello. My background is chopping us off. So I am the Director of Operations, and we have several programs. We do a youth at risk program, education and awareness, crisis intervention. We have a program called Resist that we work with men. But as Bobby said, we started off in the 90s with brick and mortar, and now we turned into click and order. And Daniel came on board as a consultant about in 2016, I believe, and then he catapulted us into the digital age, where he helped develop a program called Are You Digitally Dependent or Socially Connected? And so we began to take that into schools and things like that. And now with this COVID-19, the post-COVID-19, all kids have now Google Chromebooks. They have all these things. They have phones. I see 2-year-olds with phones when I'm out and about. Recently, I saw a new advertisement on TV for the casinos, the gambling now. And I was just shocked. The advertisement is, you've got a casino in your pocket, meaning, a cell phone in your pocket. And so I was so shocked by that, because that's what we say, these kids carry a computer in their pocket, and their parents would never allow them to go places that digital device can take them. But at any rate, we want to turn it over to our panelists, and so parents can get a very good insight into some of their solutions and the tools to empower parents to be able to balance screen time, protect their children, families, protect everybody on digital devices.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, for the introduction of the organization. And just to give everyone a brief overview of what we'll be doing, I'll have the panelists do a very brief introduction of themselves, 2-minute introduction, and then we'll go into question and answer with each one of them. If you have any questions, please feel free to put that into the Q&A chat that's at the bottom of your screen, or you could just send it to the message so that we can see it on the back end. So to introduce our first panelist, we're again excited to have the industry's leading technology platform when it comes to protecting your children on digital devices and providing monitoring, web filtering, and screen time capabilities. We have the CPO, the Child Parenting Officer. I love that name, and it's definitely a role that's needed in this digital landscape. Miss Titania Jordan. So please, Titania, if you could just introduce yourself and give us a brief background.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Coming to you live from Atlanta. I'm a mom. My son will be a teenager this weekend, so I am right in the thick of it with all of you. And it's really an honor to be here at BARC doing what I'm doing. And I'll turn it over to Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Dawn Matthews. I'm a licensed certified social worker. I have been in the field for 27 years and been working in education for 23 years, battling the issue of cyberbullying. When cyberbullying first started, it was about slam books with girls. But when we're looking at what we're doing today, you're looking at cyberbullying and the effects that it have on our children socially and emotionally. And I agree with you, Mrs. Jordan, that have a teenager myself just a month ago. So we're in the thick of it, not only as professionals, but also as parents. And we hope that tonight you will get some education on how to help you and your family to battle this issue of cyberbullying and technology.
Excellent. Thank you, Titania, and thank you, Dawn. So I guess to go off to the first question, I would say with Titania, can you just give us an understanding of what BARC is, how it works, and some of the basic functions?
Sure, definitely. So background, BARC started when our CEO, Brian Basin, who couldn't be with us tonight, left Twitter. He was working at Twitter. He left Twitter to start this company. And the reason for starting it was because given his background in technology, in social media, as an engineer and a developer, he looked at the landscape of trying to protect kids online and realized there were no good solutions. And if he couldn't figure it out, how much more so were other parents going to be at a disadvantage in children? So he left Twitter, started BARC, and that was 6.5 years ago. And so what is it? Well, it's technology that monitors your children's devices, smartphones, et cetera, as well as accounts, social media accounts, YouTube, Spotify, you name it, texting, email. And when our algorithm, when our technology detects an issue, and the issues range from profanity to cyberbullying to sexual content to mental health issues, suicidal ideation, as we all know, the list of issues runs the gamut. BARC will send you an alert. It'll send you an alert via text message and email. I've gotten my fair share of them. And will not only give you the problem, here's what happened, here's where it happened. It'll also give you best recommended next steps for how to address, which is why Dawn is here. And that's so great that she's here, because we've leaned on experts like her to help form our guidelines for parents. It's really hard to be faced with an issue in the middle of a crisis. That's not necessarily the best time to be able to deal with it. It's better to be proactive and set yourself up for success and prepare for what's coming. So yeah, BARC helps to protect close to 6 million children across the nation. We are in over 3,000 school districts across the nation. We have escalated countless issues to law enforcement where children's lives were in danger, whether it's from self-harm and suicidal ideation to cyberbullying, to online predation, and more.
Thank you. You bring up a good point, especially with the pandemic, and what's happening in the past year and a half, going on 2 years at this point, and how parents especially have kind of been forced to, have more screen time in their family and with their kids. So, to kick it off to you, Dawn, what are some of the effects that you've seen, more so the emotional health effects that you've seen in this past year and a half, or in general with the use of digital technology, the effects it has on children?
I would say over the past couple of years, the effects on our children, as you all know, is social and emotional. Also, too, our children are losing what are social cues. Our children are also losing friends through technology, through cyberbullying, because they don't know how to interact with one another. They're starting to develop poor relationships, even low self-esteem. So with social media and cyberbullying, it's really having an impact on our children in so many ways, academically, and as I said before, socially and emotionally. And as a family, we need to begin to look at some of the signs that our children are experiencing with too much screen time. And we're looking at the effects of screen time. We're looking at decrease in cognitive functioning. We're looking at mental fogness. We're looking at reduced attention span. We're also looking at memory problems. We're also looking at, risky decision-making when it comes to digital websites, also to low energy levels. These are things that we have to start being aware of within our children when we talk about socially and emotionally, and also behaviorally. But there is a continuous impact on our children because of the digital world nowadays.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Titania, I would imagine, just me thinking when I was a teenager, especially going on to 13 years old, I wouldn't want to have these type of monitoring tools on my phone or, in anything I was doing, feeling like I was being watched. What is some of the feedback that you see with parents, and how are they able to really implement this in a household when kids are aware of it and may not want this type of stuff on their devices?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging dynamic. Even though I'm 41, I still remember very clearly being in 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grades and up, and wanting my privacy and autonomy and certain bad decisions I made. And we are just in a different place and space. I also didn't have access to, you can't see it, but one of these.
The phone,
Yeah. And so much like if my parents buy me a bicycle, I have to wear a helmet. If I drive a car, I have to have driver's ed and car insurance and wear a seatbelt. Like, with tech comes opportunity, but also risks, and we need to mitigate those risks. And same thing with a smartphone or a gaming console or a laptop. If you're going to let your child have this access, they're also going to be opened up to dangerous content and dangerous people. And you have to have those candid conversations with them about the fact that it's your job. It's your job to keep them safe in real life, but it's also your job to keep them safe in their digital lives, especially when they're spending upwards of, 8 hours a day between school and home in this digital world. You're not doing your job as a parent if you're not helping to protect them and engage with them and raise awareness about what they can encounter and what to do if and when they do encounter it. So, do kids always like it? No. Is it less invasive than having to spot check and go through your child's phone every night? Yeah. I don't know what kid would prefer that their parent, go through all of their DMs and photo albums and, mess up their snap streaks, etc. So, you really have 3 choices as a parent. Do nothing and assume that you'll know if there's something wrong happening with your child, which is not a good plan. Spot check their devices, which is time consuming, cumbersome, friction heavy, and not effective because you don't even really know where to look, if I'm being honest. Or third is use monitoring software combined with open and honest conversations with your children. And that seems to be the most effective, both in helping to protect children and to foster a positive parent-child relationship.
Yeah, that's amazing. With the technology, you mentioned like checking DMs. Are these capabilities all within Bark?
In some cases, yeah, we have different capabilities for different operating systems.
Okay.
For the Android operating system, we have a lot more flexibility. With the iOS operating system, we have a few limitations, Snapchat being one of those with iOS devices. But even with that said, my son has an iPhone. He does have a Snapchat account, which not necessarily thrilled about the decision there, but we could talk about that another time or later in the session. And he will sometimes take screenshots of content that he finds compelling or wants to remember later. And Bark will monitor that because it's on the camera roll. And so I've been made aware of issues that have happened on Snapchat through Bark because of the way that he interacts with that tech.
Got it. Understood. Dawn, when it comes to in your experience, let's just say with working at a middle school and, especially the past few years, how is screen time affecting the social behavior? I know we talked a little bit of the emotional development, but how is it affecting the social behavior? For instance, like speaking with Titania, most kids probably don't want to have these monitoring capabilities on their phone, or to be seen, or to have someone feel like they're looking at what they're doing. What is some of the behavior that you've seen when you have to take a phone away, or when there's accountability to what they're looking at or the actions of what they're doing?
The behaviors is more like anger, it's temper tantrums. And also too, what I've noticed is that when a parent try to take the device away, the kids tend to say, well, you know what, I'm just going to kill myself. And that's a threat to the parent to make the parent feel bad because they're taking the device away. And the reality is, yes, do we have to really look into it? Yes, we do, for the simple fact that our kids are faced with so many challenges through TikTok, through Facebook. And because of that, like, Tatiana said before, the likes, if you don't have so many likes, if you don't reach a certain goal in a particular challenge, that really affects the children. And they're like, well, you know what, people don't like me. So that becomes more of anxiety, becomes more symptoms of depression. But the behaviors, it's severe and it's temper tantrums. But the parents need to understand that they have to begin to monitor what the children are watching or doing, and also monitor how much time they spend on it, because Tatiana said before that they're getting a lot of screen time at school, and it's between 7 to 8 hours. It's not consistent, but if you're in school from 7:15 to 2:40, they have screen time. Yes, it's academic, but it's still screen time. And children are very savvy with knowing how to minimize their screens, and they're playing games. So that's something else is being monitored. In my school district, we use Go Guardian. So teachers are able to disable if a kid is on the wrong site, but they're not supposed to be. So which is good. But the problem is once the children get home, the parents need to minimize how much screen time they have, because they adding on another 6 or 7, 8 hours when they're at home, which opens up the door of more social emotional issues. But the behaviors is really a temper tantrum, and the dangerous one they say all the time is, I want to kill myself. And that's to make the parent feel bad in order to give back the device.
Mm.
My question always is, even with the drugs, we're dealing with drugs, how do we approach these young people and let them see what they're doing is harmful? And it's not just harmful to one sect of people, it's to all those that are getting involved. We were at a school and we got finished a presentation, and two young girls were sitting out on the curb. Both of them had their cell phones on, and they were talking to each other, and they're sitting right next to each other. And this is something that I've been noticing a lot lately as well. You know, how do we let that person know that we're not trying to harm you, not trying to really take anything away from you, trying to make you be safe in a dangerous world. So that's always been on my mind. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, that's a good point. To Tanya, what age in your experience, maybe even personal and professional, and with the technology and just the amount of traction that you guys had in the past few years, at what age should parents really start putting this type of accountability and monitoring capabilities on their devices? Is it right away, like as soon as you give your child the phone or something?
It's even before.
Yeah.
You know, before you give your child access, there are a lot of conversations you need to have, and you need to go ahead and set them up for success. You don't give them the remote control where they could pull up Netflix without making sure you have a parental control PIN code enabled so they can't stumble upon TVMA content. I say that as do as I say, not as I do, because I did not do that right away, and I should have, and I learned my lesson. So, your children really, they're learning how to read at age, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, the second they can read the comment section, the second they can see other people's phones and then go type something in a browser and search. I mean, children are really tech savvy. They don't even have to have their own devices in order to stumble upon some of this stuff. They'll see it on friends' devices on the bus and at school, at friends' houses, etc. So the most important thing, whether or not you use monitoring technology, which obviously I think you should, but I'm biased, is those conversations. You know, our parents maybe if we were lucky, maybe had one birds and bees combo with us. But now it's just much more pervasive. You've got to talk about pornography and consent and, you know, good pictures and bad pictures and addiction, how you are in control of your brain and a screen is not in control of your brain. And it's hard to manage that because of what a screen does to your brain, kind of like sugar. You know, there's conversations around tricky people and how, you know, you don't have to come right out and talk about an online predator with your first grader, but you can talk about tricky people and how there are people online who might pretend to be somebody your age, but are actually an adult. Or there might be people online who seem really, really nice, but ask a lot of questions about you. And that's a red flag. You should not tell anybody your real name and where you live and where you go to school. And, you know, there's just little nuggets of conversations that you need to start before your children can even access anything. And then, you know, that opens up the hornet's nest of mental health. And, you know, what are you doing with that time? Are you getting lost in a TikTok rabbit hole and 1 hour has gone by of your life that you'll never get back? Or are you learning something? Are you creating something? Are you competing? Are you gaming? Are you curating a Pinterest board? How are you using that time? Be intentional about it. Conversations around FOMO, the fear of missing out, and how everybody puts their best lives online, including myself right now. I am using a Zoom filter. Don't get it twisted. It is late and I'm tired and I am using a Zoom filter. And so, you know, if you were to see me in real life, you might be like, oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, there's so many questions and conversations that you need to have with your children, and nothing can replace effective and engaged and candid parenting. Bark is a tool that will help. We have escalated over 1,000 online predators. We have helped to stop school shooting threats. We have helped save children's lives, but we can't do that without the help of parents.
One of the things, some of the things that we've implemented through LICCV when we do presentations and things is a bucket that was created for one of our annual events. And it was initiated by a grandmother who used to have Saucy Sunday. She'd have everybody over for dinner and she had a basket. Everybody had to throw their digital devices in it. And so we created this, and then along with it, we have an instruction booklet. And we have 10 tips for digital safety, and we have 10 tips for screen time balance. And it's an actual instruction, kind of like a bookmark, that tells you how to begin to implement screen time balance from toddler age all the way to elementary, junior high, high school, adult, and visitors in your home. And it's available on our website, liccv.org. You can print them out. They're PDFs, and there's an instruction. And in fact, the first 25 people that registered are going to be getting a digital safety family packet to use at home with some guidelines and boundaries and instructions for parents. I worked all my life and had the children. And you come home and you're tired, and in all fairness to parents, most of them are two parents are working. The kids are either in school or in daycare. They come home. And so to begin to implement these things that we talk about is difficult. And so, all right, I'm coming in and out. I'm sorry. I'm going to switch it like this. It will help. So, So we've developed these things. Parents are tired, and here they are now. They've got to train their children with digital safety. Only a couple of years ago, very few parents, and even now, parents are not really digitally savvy. Most kids are more digitally savvy than their parents. So, and then the flip side of that is so many grandparents are now taking care of their children as opposed to daycare, and they certainly are not digitally savvy. So we do have senior literacy and things like that, but we encourage, a lot of people think we just are for parenting. No, if you're an aunt, if you're a grandparent, if you're a friend or you have a neighbor next door, everybody should really know, it's not only about children. How do we protect ourselves? Adults are having, Daniel knows in his age especially, adults are having trouble with screen time and with being online all the time also. But again, I want to mention our website, liccv.org, and you can go on there and you can go through our resources. BARC has tremendous resources. So I just wanted to interject that there are some things that parents can do that are not, we advocate to surrender the phone, not take it away from them. And then, so if you can train your child to release the phone to a basket, some of our parents are making these boxes. One youth group made a jail, and when they come in the room, they have to put their phones in there. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing the insight. And I think, as we come towards an end, we don't want to make this conversation tonight long lasting. We are recording this, so this will be available on our Facebook and as well as our YouTube and website. But, one of the glaring concerns and questions that we get a lot, and I would like for Dawn, Titania, and even Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, if you want to answer this, is what should parents do that have not implemented this at an early age? And now we're really kind of battling with their children, and it seems like they're actually addicted. They're digitally addicted. They're addicted to the phone. What advice can you give them at this point if they're looking to implement this technology or this accountability software, and it's almost impossible? The child is just not allowing it. I guess, Dawn, I could start off with you. Just some advice, so what to do.
I think it goes back to what Tanya was saying earlier, is just trying to have that conversation with their children, and also too understanding what social media they're actually looking at, understanding and trying to relate to them, and getting them to understand that there's pros and cons, and and as a parent, you're just trying to look out for the health and safety of them, of their children. But I think that it's about conversation and letting them know, as what Diane Lloyd said, that it's not taking it away. It's just more or less having some boundaries, some healthy boundaries as you continue to move forward, and looking at how it's impacting them, not only academically, but also socially and in interaction within the family. So I think that it's really sitting down and now having a conversation, because most of our teens, they're teenagers, and now you're trying to rip everything out of them, and they look, they lifeline, and it's going to, cause some conflicts within the family. But you have to sit them down and, as an adult, and say, listen, we need to have this conversation, and what can we come up with to have a healthy balance within this household when it comes to screen time.
I used to tell parents, and I'm not saying to do this, but I would tell parents, don't feed them. Teenagers, don't feed them, because that's the one thing they can do good is eat. When there's no food in the house, guess what? You will hear it. They will scream from the top of the hill. But no, but what we try to do is try to find avenues, that we can reach the young people. Anyone that's hooked on on a device, iPhones or whatever it is. But I think that we're on the right track, and we want to keep on going with it. So hopefully it'll turn out well.
I think that, Bobby always speaks to this in terms of parents being parents. Who is the parent here? And taking back some of their authority. We have dealt with my own grandchildren too, my older ones, when they were younger, when this first started to happen. Parents, and when we talk at our book table, They don't even have the password to these phones. These are $1,000. These phones are $1,000 now that they buy, they pay for, and they don't have the password to even, get into the phone or to see what is happening there. And I think part of this is that parents need to take their position and to begin to parent their children, especially in this area. They would never let them even go down to the park after 9 o'clock, after dark, forget it. Now, they don't even let their kids out in the front yard, but yet they'll let them go anywhere they want on this digital device. They can go to Europe, they can go everywhere and have access to everything. And a lot of it that we do is education and awareness to parents, and speak into their lives and give them information and tools and solutions. They can come home and empower them. They need to be empowered.
Titania, if you would like, well, not only with answering that question, but also kind of share in closing remarks how people can access the technology, learn more about Bark, and just some final thoughts in general, again, from being your position as a CPO, the child parenting officer. And I hope that we get a lot more CPOs, because we have a lot of CEOs and COOs and CIOs, but in all honesty, as again technology continues to advance and it disrupts the family structure, we need CPOs, we need child parenting officers. So salute to you, and we'd love to hear in final remarks your feedback, and just again how we can have more access to Bark.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I will go ahead and drop a link to our website in this chat. It's just bark.us, not bark.com, but bark.us. That's the easiest way to get started if you're interested in figuring out, okay, how can I get started with monitoring my children's devices and accounts? Not everybody wants to deal with Bark, can pay for Bark, etc. And so if you need free help, there's a great resource in our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group called Parenting in a Tech World, with over 170,000 members in it now. Such a great place for support. So I'm dropping a link to that as well. Also, we write a blog, which you can read for free. You don't have to pay for Bark or use Bark in order to benefit from that. And I'm going to drop a link to that as well. Multitasking is always fun. And bottom line is, it's not easy. We are the first generation of parents that are having to parent in a world like this. Our parents didn't have to do it. Maybe they had to deal with AOL chat rooms and Nintendos and Sega Genesis, right? And Pong, but nothing like this. So we've got to give ourselves some grace. And, if our children know they are loved, that is the most important. Good kids are going to make bad choices. Good parents are going to make bad choices. I'm certainly right up there with letting my child have too much access too early, or just letting devices babysit him because I'm tired and they work. Another great rule of thumb too is don't let your children have devices in their bedroom at night. Kids need to be asleep. They don't need to be online. Don't let the whole world access your children while you're sleeping in the next room, just period. Make sure that they are used in the common areas of the home where you can be there. And finally, back to the good kids make bad choices. We have all made bad choices. We fortunately didn't have social media and smartphones to keep them in perpetuity for the rest of our lives. So my skeletons get to stay in the closet. My child is not so lucky. And so your kids need to know that if and or when they do make bad choices, they can come to you. Your first course of action will not be to freak out, to take things away, to punish, to yell. It's of gratitude. Thank you for telling me this. Thank you for trusting me with this thing that's really heavy that you're dealing with, and we're going to get through it together. My love for you is unconditional. You're going to make mistakes in your life, and we're going to get through it together. Now, there will be consequences. You don't just get a free pass, but you don't need to be afraid to surface anything to me. The deepest, the darkest, the heaviest. That's why I'm here, is to help you, to help guide you, help protect you.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for that wisdom. Thank you so much for the guidance. Again, the links are in the chats for both the Facebook group and as well as the website for BARC. I also want to share real quick the donation link for LICCV. We are a nonprofit organization, so any donations and support, that is greatly appreciated. So that's the link right there. It's liccv.org. And in final remarks, Dawn, can you please just share some insight and thoughts on how parents can further protect not only their children, but just their household?
Well, parents just need to educate themselves, what's out there. And we need not to, hide behind it because it's the unknown. And I'm one of them. I'm not tech savvy, as you can tell, because I don't have the background. So, I'm in the process of learning as them, but we need not to be afraid of it because we need to be educated in order to help our children and also to protect our homes. And our children need to be protected. And as it was said before, they need to know they're going to be loved and they were going to make mistakes, and we're going to make mistakes too. But this is a growing process for both of us, as a family, and also to an educational piece as we both, as a family, move forward.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dawn. And in closing remarks, I know we have Ms. Lloyd. I'm not sure if both want to share closing remarks as we end tonight's fireside chat, digital version.
Let me just share a quick story. As you all know, I go and I speak in churches, especially on Sunday morning, on this issue. It took a while to get it that we could do that, and it opened up. And I used to do youth groups, and I did a youth session, and the mother didn't like the way I did it, and really just went off on the pastor and everybody, and I almost got kicked out of the church, But some years went by, and I preached a message, and then I had a prayer line, and I see this young girl coming up with her parents. She's crying her eyes out. So I'm going, here we go again, another victim, And she said, Pastor Bobby, I just want to tell you something. I'll never forget you as long as I live. That advice that got you in trouble with the church and my parents and them saved my life 2 days ago, because I did something you told me to do. And I didn't even think, I just did it. And I got myself out of that, and that really, really lifts me up. So I want to lift you up too. And just keep BARC going. We need help. You need help. We need to come up with some answers and just be blessed. Thank you.
So just to end, just to encourage the parents to, like Dawn said, education and awareness. And those parents that are tech savvy, go on to BARC USA, tremendous resources there. We go on there, we lead parents there all the time. And in Long Island, we are here. They're in Atlanta, Georgia, but you can have access to them. Thank God for Zoom and for all the technology. We have access to these things, but also avail yourself of our office. On our website is our phone number for crisis intervention and referrals. We've gotten several calls just the past 2 days in reference to this. And so parents, just get on board and, reach out. There are a tremendous amount of resources now that are available.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everyone for joining this conversation tonight. We will continue these type of conversations in this year moving forward. We plan to have a number of digital safety forums as we learn new insights, as we learn new value propositions for families. And I think in the next few ones, we're also going to be targeting conversations around adults, because I know that I'm an adult, I'm a parent, and I struggle with most of the stuff that we talked about today when it comes to referencing children. So just want to wish everyone a blessed evening. Stay safe out here. We know it's crazy with the pandemic and all. And as far as the panelists, I do want to take a quick snapshot shot of this. So if you can just do a smile and we're kicking off the year. So blessings. Have a good night. Thank you, Titania. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you for everyone joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.